Hi, my name's Shawn Shaler. That's my friend Chris Ford down there, aka The Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter. As I'm looking at the video, I realize I forgot to zoom in on my
You're
face.
so tiny.
I'm so little.
Like I can
You
just
know what's sad is I was so
hold.
proud. I got a haircut today, and I was really happy with how my hair looked, and I was so happy to show it off, and I forgot to zoom in. So at a natural pause, if you notice my video zooming in, it's out of pure ego, pure narcissism is all. But in the meantime, hey Chris, how you doing?
I am doing good. Doing good. Yeah, I'm
Excellent.
excited. signed up to get the COVID vaccine, so I'm just excited for whatever superpowers I get. Um, and
Boom,
I hope it's
baby.
something.
Nice.
Something. I hope it's something useful. I'm always hoping for electricity or something. I mean, immunity to certain diseases that would be great too.
That's a pretty solid
But
superpower in its own right. The ability to go outdoors again.
I now have the ability to go to the movies.
Chris has the ability to eat in restaurants. Ooh,
Yeah,
fancy. Wait, I said boom babies. It's bang babies, isn't it? I even ruined that. I can't get two words
yeah,
right.
bang baby. Yeah.
Bang babies. My bad. Sorry, static. Uh, I Chris, you recently put out. I have to plug it because it's one of my favorite videos that I think that you've ever done, in my personal opinion. I would love it if you plugged your most recent video, but then also any other things you got in the works, of course.
Oh yeah. So most recent video is they are black, or cartoon characters that are black but not actually black. I forget exactly what I titled it, but essentially cartoon characters who are not black but they're black to me. And it was a lot of fun doing that video. A lot of fun editing. I usually don't have as much fun editing videos. It just depends on the video. I don't have fun editing movie reviews. That's that's a little bit more just like gruesome and tiresome. Just hearing myself talk a lot. There's just not a lot of storytelling in it. Maybe I should change my movie reviews and make it more interesting for myself. But but
Never make a video that you would not watch, right? Or something like that.
I would watch it. I
Oh,
just
okay.
didn't.
Well, then
I
you're
just don't
fine.
enjoy editing. Yeah.
Then you're fine.
Um, but this one was a lot of fun. And this has been a video that I've been wanting to do now for probably 2 or 3 years. Because it's always a kind of on an interesting topic, and got some good feedback from it. It's not. The thing is that I feel not to sound too full of myself, but but I feel like an artist. I don't know. I feel like there was some artistry to it, because to me sometimes true artism is when you do something for yourself. Like, this is one of those videos that I knew wasn't gonna be like great when it comes to performance, because most of the time only my avatar videos do like really great. Um,
Really creative things don't really appeal to the algorithm, I think is kind of what it
yeah,
amounts to. And really creative things tend to be the artistic things that you feel good about.
yeah.
And that's, I mean, it's a shame.
No, it's fine. Yeah, no,
It's
love
not
making
fine.
it.
It's a shame, damn
Um,
it.
but yeah, even I have a college friend who also has a YouTube channel. His name, the YouTube channel is J&J Rants. And even he was like, "Hey, I shared your video on YouTube, man. It was really good." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." I shared it on Facebook. He was like, "Do you mind?" I was like, "Oh, not at all. Go ahead, thank you."
Please.
Yeah.
I
But no,
don't
I had a
share
lot of.
anything on Facebook because I'm always scared of backlash I'll get for things that are 1000% innocent from random. I hate Facebook so much. I'm sorry if you like Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg, if you're listening to this, I'm really sorry. It's not to offend you. Uh,
But yeah, go watch the video. I put it's a video that's fairly jokey. It's probably one of my more jokey. I think sometimes I write jokes into videos, and usually it's probably only like one or two jokes every video. I feel like I wrote more this one time around.
I'm going to
But
describe it
also got a
as
little.
it is you approach it sort of what am I trying to say, like respectfully, like as a topic that you approach with a certain amount of respect and seriousness, but then there's also the other side where you do have sort of more comedy and humor. Like I think it hits both. Like if a movie review is right down the middle, you kind of hit farther on each side of the spectrum than in a movie review, if I may say so.
Oh, thank you. No, really enjoyed the video. Before that, I reviewed Zack Snyder's Justice League, which was I love the film. I hope to watch it again. Just depends on time. that video, I hated editing because I also went back and included my review of the 2017 version, just the Whedon cut of it, which I edited clips from that, which that was my first YouTube video, which is I just cringe watching it because
It's
I can just
horrifying to
see like
watch
how much
those.
I can just see how much I've gotten better, like how many little ticks I no longer do. Um, I like saying a lot, but it's okay to say just a conversation. But it was just kind of cringy of a video. And but no, there's the two movies have such a night and day difference that I thought would be interesting. I thought about a lot of different ways to do that video. I thought about like having my TV and showing it on YouTube and being like all Zach Morris, like stop, wait a minute, guy, isn't this? But then I was like, I don't have time for
Freeze
that. And
frame.
then yeah, freeze.
I thought that your script for your personally, I thought your script for your Justice League review was well written. I don't, it sounds like you weren't fond of the editing necessarily. I didn't notice too much because I was more interested in your actual insights. Movie didn't necessarily agree with all the points, but in general, I thought your review was very good. And I don't want to get too crazy. I was happy with the movie, not like 9 out of 10 material in my head or anything like that, but I was very happy with the movie. Thanks for letting me bum your HBO Max so I could spend 4 hours of a work day watching that movie. Holy crap, it's long. 4 hours and 2 minutes, I think. So if that doesn't sound good to you, maybe watch a 10-minute review first to see if it's worth your time.
There's a really great version of that movie, which I already think the movie's great, but there's a better version that's like 3 hours and 20 minutes.
I know it's very cliche, and I think it's a big part of the internet's feedback in general, and I hate to, jump on that train, but knowing that the DCU won't build on the end of that movie, I think the whole epilogue part, that like 20 minutes or whatever, I could have done without it. That's probably my biggest complaint, is knowing that the DCU won't expand upon that part at this point.
They might.
They might.
I mean,
I will be surprised.
I wouldn't. I'll say this: the DC universe is no longer just Zack Snyder and just his vision. It's expanded. These characters, even within the movie, has expanded beyond that. I mean, Patty Jenkins have done so much work with Wonder Woman. James Wan has done so much work with Aquaman. Shazam is in this universe. Like the universe has expanded, and so no longer is it just Zack Snyder's vision of it. And so I think that gives them leeway actually to be like, hey, yeah, we can have all these different types of movies. Also, I'm sure HBO Max is going to see the dividends that this is going to bring in, because it's been fairly well reviewed, fairly good, publicity, good,
substantially
good word of mouth.
Better than the original, being everybody's point. Whether you liked it or not, I think there's like a unanimous agreement out there. Like, yeah, it's way better.
I don't know many people that like. I liked it a lot. I didn't. Well, maybe I did love it to a certain extent. As a DC fan, I loved watching it. I went back and watched it right afterwards, and I was like, "Holy crap! This movie is it's it's a night and day difference. Like almost literally. Like there's some shots where in the Whedon cut where it's just bright. It's so freaking saturated.
The weird brown. Some of the stuff that I never would have questioned at the time, just because I don't watch movies that way. Yeah. But then I'm watching Snyder, and I'm not the biggest. We've had talks in the past. I'm not the biggest Snyder fan by any means, as a lot of people probably aren't. Like I probably represent something closer to the masses, I think. But like watching the Snyder Cut, like, you know what he's doing makes like 10 times as much sense as that garbage. Like, what were they in a desert? Is Chernobyl in a desert? Is that what's going on here? I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean it's. And there's also something to be said, like, all right, well, you had 4 hours to make a movie. It's
true. Yeah.
And so that gives you enough time to just sit and breathe and be with the characters and don't feel so rushed.
And there are at least two characters, if not more, probably more, but at least two characters that wildly benefited.
Oh, yeah.
Wildly benefited.
Cyborg, they used to talk about, oh, yeah, we're going to do a Cyborg movie. And I was like, oh, yeah, whatever.
That was the best improvement of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Loved Cyborg. Loved hearing the story. And He's like now he has instantly become like one of my favorite characters in that movie. One of the top 2 or 3 most
Yeah,
enjoyable characters in that movie. I think probably top
like I
two.
said,
Like,
there's comic book fans. So Cyborg originated in Teen Titans.
that's the
Um,
only other place I know him from personally. As not a comics guy, so I don't have a
yeah,
good cyborg foundation.
like he's always been like one of the leaders of the Teen Titans, along with Robin and stuff. And so when DC did New 52, they brought him into the Justice League because it was like, all right, we need, I don't know, just really they needed probably more diversity. Although I mean, the league had plenty of diversity, but they're like for the main seven, for the first seven members, they brought in Cyborg. And as a comic fan, a lot of other fans agree. Like Cyborg never felt like he belonged there. He always felt like a little tokeny because once they didn't service the character that much. Oftentimes, so in the comic book, he like fused with the mother bots. And he
He's
was
like
able
two
to
birds.
like
He's two tokens in one stuff. Like, hey, now we're representing androids and black people. We're fine. We got it.
yeah,
It's enough.
cyborg, Sean, not androids. They don't like to be called that. They're cyborgs.
You're right. They hate it when I go. So many parallels. Okay.
Um, but and they never really in the comics gave him that much to do. Like he was always just the person who teleported someone here or there. He was always just a computer guy. And here it just felt like they just gave him so much more weight. I'm just like, yeah, I want a cyborg movie now. I doubt that would ever happen because Ray Fisher is kind of on like a uh, one man wrecking crew to like take down some of the execs at WB because he complained about the reshoots they did on the Whedon cut, and he was like, Josh Whedon was a terrible director, like, and Jeff
Which seems
Johns
to
like
come more and
allowed
more
this.
true every day
Yeah,
somehow.
yeah. And like he was like Jeff Johns was, he also perpetrated it, and he was terrible. And then he said like, well, he had one meeting with the Curtain at Zed, and he was kind of like, maybe we can just forget about it. But now they've opened up a whole investigation over everything. So I doubt a cyborg movie will ever happen now. But I hope it does. And Ray Fisher's a great actor. Like, he is like he comes from his background is in theater and stuff. And so he's, more of a thespian than anything.
Really hard to hear that word without thinking about Clayface from Harley Quinn. I am a thespian. It's a terrible impression. Just go on.
No, that's pretty good.
He's so good in Harley Quinn. I don't know who plays him, but that person's killing it.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I'm really sorry to like untrack, but it's been essentially 9 days or so since it came out, and we haven't talked since then just by the schedule. And so I know I'm untracking us here, and that people should just go watch your review. But I can't not talk about this with you. That would feel like sacrilege. But either way, sorry for untracking things.
I mean, we're only 12 minutes,
fine.
13 minutes in.
I think if people, are valiant, devoted listeners, they know that there's going to be some DC talk involved.
Yeah.
In general.
But today we're going to talk about what we're talking about. The pilot.
Let's
the
say
Unaired.
something else that got recut very severely. Something else that got recut and improved.
Well, 100% reshot on this.
1,000%. So long story short, this is the weekend before Easter. And so the next 2 weekends, little crazy. I won't throw Chris under the bus. It's my fault, but little crazy. So we needed to come up with 2 slightly shorter topics. And this is something that Chris has had on his backlog for a little bit, was to review the Unaired pilot. So that's about a 10-minute pilot episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you have the DVD set, I believe you can watch the pilot. If you have the Blu-ray set, you can watch the pilot and definitely can watch it with commentary. I can't validate that on DVD because I wasn't paying attention for sure. But it's a 10-minute pilot that was given to us by Nickelodeon in our DVD and Blu-ray sets. Chris, any foreshadowing or forethoughts before we jump into the review?
It's a really solid pilot. Nowadays, I feel like they didn't used to do this. Nowadays, like the first episode of every series is called the pilot episode, which to me, those aren't pilots. Those are just the first episode. A pilot is supposed to be this. It's supposed to be like, all right, here's a concept. Here's what a typical episode might feel like. Like, it's not supposed to be like, all right, this is just the first episode. right? Like you're
It's
supposed
a
to just
proof
you're
of
supposed to be an
concept,
example.
or at least is what it's kind
Exactly.
of supposed to be.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it does feel like a pilot episode is like, we want to see episode 1, and we'll watch the whole thing that you paid for out of your pockets, and then we'll tell you if it sucks.
Yeah. Um,
Say
but so
nowadays, like a grumpy
I think
old
as a
man.
pilot, it's I think it's a really good pilot. I think it proves the concept very well. I think the animation is actually really great, and I don't want to say great. It's really good in some scenes, and other scenes just like, ah man, this needs some work. Um, but you know it needs work. It was Though apparently it took them like a year to do it, uh, or at least took them like listening to the commentary. They said it took them a year to do the pilot, and it took some. Now they did the commentary like in between book 1 and 2, which is really interesting to see them trying to like foreshadow things in book 2. And I'd be like, Mike and Bryan, we know where we've been.
Now we know what's up.
Yeah. Um, and but no, it's really to me it's a really good pilot. I think you already get a good sense of the characters and their interactions. Uh, I think no, I think it's a really good pilot. We'll get more in depth in there. I think there's a lot of really good stuff in it.
I will say before we get started, and the one thing that I did struggle with was kind of setting myself aside from like my current sentimental love of Avatar and just trying to watch it as a pilot. Like, hey, if somebody came and pitched this to you in 2002,
Hmm.
what would you? And it's really hard to do that because obviously we have sort of an intimate relationship with
Green
Avatar,
light
and
it, click.
it, and so it's kind of hard to remove myself. Also, I don't know much about other sort of legit pilots like this. My concept of pilots is more like what you described of an
Hmm.
episode 1. So it's very interesting to me. So I'll say as you listen to Chris break it down, if you haven't watched it, first of all, just go watch it. But kind of set yourself apart from what you know and like about Avatar, and try to remove that just a little bit at least to appreciate what's going on here. Chris, you'll appreciate, or you won't appreciate actually. I have literally like 0 notes on this because I put together a slide like five minutes ago, but it's a very short pilot, so I don't
Yeah,
feel too
the
bad.
story wise, the main story is Aang, Sokka, and Kaya. Kaya is Katara. That was the name they went with at that point in time, and they've changed it since then. um, they're just out and about doing their thing, and Sokka kind of runs into like a Fire Nation camp. No, he runs into just Fire Nation people, and they take him hostage. And then Katara tries to go save him, and then Aang saves them, and they get in a fight with the Fire Nation, and then they escape. They get away, which is actually, I think, a pretty good idea for an episode, right? Like, all right, hey, Sokka got kidnapped. We gotta go save him. Like that would be an interesting episode in of itself.
Yeah, something that they didn't actually end up using. A lot of other small pieces kind of foreshadow into episodes that you see, and you're like, oh, I see where they used that idea. Yeah, I guess Sokka like never got kidnapped, did he?
No.
Not that I know of, at least.
Well, no, not really.
Okay,
Not that he didn't purposely do it himself. I
but
guess like the boiling rock or something.
it was kind of his fault. You're right.
Yeah. Um, and yeah, so a couple of the specific things that I think I really liked about the pilot was, or one of the things there was a main difference is that the Fire Nation outfits were way different. I feel like they screamed we're the villains, even though I mean the
I've got
the
notes pulled up right now, and I'm looking at these, and they look like kind of they're kind of generic-ish, but like video game bad guy outfit, kind of like
yeah,
that you're supposed to go hit those guys with the stick.
yeah.
They're obviously the bad guys.
I mean, it is interesting. It looks like they have like maybe, maybe it's like dragon bone spikes or some type of bone spikes, which I
Yeah, it
think
looked like
is
a bone spike.
yeah. Oh, and the intro was very much the same as the intro from the TV show, just like slight variations. The
It's a very
the
innovative way to show graphics.
say the I did like the female bender, who I guess was Azula at the time. I don't know. I liked her design more so than the other ones for whatever reason.
I interpreted it as Azula, but I guess you're right. They never specify. But I just like my brain made it Azula, whether it needed to be or not.
Yeah. I love what they ended up doing anyway, because they had the benders, you saw them and saw who they were. That one guy, Earthbender guy, I believe he was the original design for Toph when Toph was supposed to be a guy.
I love Toph so much. I'm
Which
so
I'm
glad
glad.
that Toph turned out to be
Yeah.
exactly who she is.
Shout out Aaron Ehaus for that change. I feel like I'm in like a weird anti Aaron Ehaus mood lately.
We
I'm
do. We
not though.
sort of
I'm not. It's just
accidentally omit him sometimes, not on purpose, and then we like catch ourselves. But we're always like, "It's Break. What's Aaron up to?"
well, it's just that like sometimes I see people online that's like Aaron Ehaus was the real architect, and I'm like, no, he wasn't. Like he was very very important, but he was not the architect of the show. Like the show, they pitched the whole show in 2 weeks, and Aaron Ehaus was nowhere in sight. It was just Mike and Bryan. Um, Aaron Ehaus, his contributions cannot be understated, but I'm not gonna give him full credit. I'm gonna give Mike and Bryan like 70% credit and a lot of credit for inputting the right people to do the right jobs. Because sometimes also people use that as a against Legend of Korra because they're like, see, Ernie House wasn't involved in Legend of Korra and that's why it sucked. And like one thing, it
You
doesn't suck.
suck.
Um,
Just kidding. Sorry.
one of these days, I'm gonna do a video of just like a dragon, which you sort of did, this, of just Dragon Prince versus Avatar: Last Airbender versus Legend of Korra, more like a Venn diagram kind of thing to show like, all right, this is what Aaron Ehaus and Bright do together really well, and now you break off Aaron Ehaus and then you break off Mike and Bryan. Like, where are the overlaps? What are the things that they do well that the other one didn't do well? What are things they do well together? One of these days, I'll make that video.
We will have to have Tyler back on an episode. One, because I mean, I think he such valuable, detailed contributions. Two, we will have to split that into like 10 episodes because I know how that's gonna go. I'm gonna say realistically 2 episodes, but because I know exactly how it's gonna go down. Also, Giancarlo Volpe, we're big fans of you too. Thanks, buddy. Big fans. Not trying to leave him out either. He's got a percent in that pie. Some of the I don't remember where you were at in your description, but like you mentioned earlier that the animation. I'm gonna kind of like tweak that just a bit. It's not that the animation is good. It's probably maybe what you'd expect from a pilot. I'm not sure. I know the animation is extremely like probably the expensive part, right? But the art itself is Avatar. Like it's unmistakably, it's 100%. It's very good. Just the actual art style and what the frames the frames that you do see are just unmistakably beautiful Avatar, and I love that. So I'm scrolling through all these pictures in here, and it just
there's one shot that I kind of wish they had done. They showed Aang, but in the intro, they showed him right behind a lion turtle statue, like a huge lion turtle statue.
Oh yeah, I got that one. It's a great shot.
I kind of wish they would have done that because that would have been like just some clear foreshadowing into the finale and where it ended. Like there is a lion turtle in the intro, but it's like a really small statue. Like you almost it's unnoticeable. But this one is like really huge, and I feel like it makes a more of a connection between the lion turtles and the Avatar.
And it's like right, and I know you can't say I don't know why I'm bothering, but it's in the intro even too, right? Like it's not even in the episode itself, but it's in the intro to the episode, and it's like it just I don't know. It's really cool. I can't just say that just unmistakably you could plug that scene into current Avatar, and that's not a pilot. Like it's a beautiful frame of the actual show and fit right in, which I mean is very high praise, obviously.
I'm actually surprised they got most of the voice actors for it because that's all of them. Besides the voice actor for Aang, they're all the same voice actor. That's Dante Bosco, that's Mae Whitman, that's Jack Desana. I didn't know really that's that they would have gotten their voice actors that early. I mean, I know they can, change and everything, but oh, that was
It
kind of
is
cool.
like, how would you get those people like, hey, we might have a job, come by, do this 10-minute pilot,
Yeah.
and then if it
Well,
doesn't,
I guess that's
is that
now.
kind of how
Now,
you
now that I
pitch
think
that?
about it, now that I think about it, that happens a lot in live action shows. Though, like, there's sometimes a lot of times I hear actors being like, "Yeah, I was in this pilot for this one thing that never got off there, never got off the foot." But I just thought that maybe animation would be a little different because you don't you don't need to hear exactly how they're gonna sound. Like to me, that's not proof of concept or anything. But like when you're doing a live action thing, you need to get a sense of this actress or this actor if you feel like they can sell the show or
That's
not.
the appearance and the voice at that point in the
Yes.
live action.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the voice actors here, and so you got the names that we know, right? Mae Whitman, Jack DeSana, Dante Bosco, and then D. Bradley Baker, who
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not familiar with, but under her there's like six
Wait.
things listed. There's
You
Momo.
should be familiar with. You hear him. You've heard him in his voice. He voices every animal in Avatar.
I
Um,
mean, you've probably said it before, but I'm just looking at like everybody
uh,
else has like one credit. Dante Bosco has two. This guy's got like five in the pilot. He's Momo. He's Appa. Rhinos. So not Namer, just rhinos. And then soldier number two and random soldiers.
he voices pretty much
He's
every
killing it.
animal in both Legend of Korra and Avatar. He's an amazing talent.
He's
He also
killing it. I
voiced
love him.
he also voiced Tarlok in book one.
His
That was
first
like
his first credit is Legends of the Hidden Temple in 1993. My wife would love
wow.
that. I know, that's wild. That's his first.
What was he?
It didn't
What was
say.
he?
It didn't say. It just that was his first credited role.
His voice doesn't seem deep enough to be the I forget
I wonder if there's
Himotep.
like
I don't know
there's
the
sometimes there's like crazy just like sort of
yeah.
not ambient noises or whatever, but like the
Purple
Police Academy sound
Barracudas.
effects. He was right. He was just the sound effects guy. Maybe that would
Yeah.
be it. That's amazing. I'm sorry, D. Bradley Baker. I'll never forget your name again,
Hmm.
ever. That's amazing.
See what else did I want to say? Oh no, there was a really great animation scene that Mike and Bryan were talking about because I watched it with the commentary and they were talking about how like they were thinking about doing more 3D animation and then they did this one scene in the pilot and then they just kind of didn't go back to doing more 3D. And it was a scene where Momo is having that fight with the Hawk and like they're going through like the building landscape with all the fire and stuff. And to me, that's a really cool scene. It's not polished, but it's a really good like POV scene. I think it was done really well. And they were like, yeah, we're not gonna do that.
I'd like to think that they were doing some 3D animation, and then they went to the movie theater and saw like Jaws 3D and Saw 3D and all this other like just amalgam of crap that was in 3D at that time. They're like, you know what, we're probably not going to do that. Uh, we
Oh, and that brings me
talked about some things that are the same, or that sort of translated and carried over. Do you want to hit on some things that are different, or I totally interrupted whatever it was you were going
no,
to say?
this goes with both of what I was about to say, what you're asking me. So Momo was chasing the hawk. Zuko was originally supposed to have this hawk like it was supposed to it's supposed to be his Momo. Like that's supposed to be like his pet that he was going to take around with him
Oh,
all the time.
did I? Or was that commentary? Was that in?
That was commentary.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's kind of
So that would
cool.
kind of yeah, it kind of would have been interesting. Like I don't know if I
I
don't know what would
prefer
have changed.
Zuko to be just kind of a loner, like
He's
no
he's
emotional
yeah, I
support
was
animals or nothing.
yeah, he's almost too emo to have a pet. Like you can't be that emo with the pet.
I feel like my dog got really upset when he was like, Zuko can't have a pet, and then Charlie started barking out there. No, I think I like it would have been neat, but I think I like it how it turned out. Obviously,
Those
speaking
are
of
really
pets and
cool.
Momo, I can't get over Momo. We gotta. He's like a. I mean, so he himself is the same essentially, but I can't get over the robot factoid, the little cyborg Momo robot factoid.
From the first drawing.
The okay, couldn't remember if that was first drawing or like pilot, and then they scratched it and changed it.
Nah,
But
I never got to pilot. They scrapped that whole kind of steampunk cybernetic monkey thing.
When you initially said this, I was so excited because like, I've never actually seen Android Momo, and I was so excited, and then I flipped on the pilot, and I can't express how disappointed I was that he was not.
Sorry.
Because we've talked about it before, so it's just my own memory failing me that it didn't make it this far. But for some reason, I had it in my head that I was going to see Cyborg Momo, and so when he pops on screen, I'm
Android.
like,
He will be an android. Come on, Shawn.
what the hell is this? He's probably an android. We just didn't see it because they never peeled back the skin or whatever. He's an android under there, just like that.
Androids are fully robotic. Cyborgs are half robotic, half organic.
Maybe he is a cyborg under there. He's just good coverage combo. But I for some reason I had it in my head that it was that version of Momo, and I was diving into that world. And so it was like a fourth wall breaking for me, my own disappointment, because he was not cybernetic in any way, and that hurt me a little bit. Okay, I'm over it though. I just had to find a way to fit that in.
There was a really cool scene of like right when Aang is fighting Zuko, like Zuko does this like fire breath thing and he gets down to the ground, which is, I don't know, it was just a really, and it was breathing fire out of his nose. I just found that really cool scene. And the fight choreography was really good. Even at this point, they had Sifu Kisu on board, and you can tell that. But there was just really, the fight between Aang and Zuko, I think, was done really, really well, especially for a pilot. It was heavily choreographed, and they probably did more slow mo. And that's the thing about this pilot is that it's more exaggerated, like it's more anime like. I think a little bit less grounded, which, I mean, Avatar, delves into that here and there, but I don't think it would be as good if it was just like this all the time. It's kind of just too goofy.
Yeah, maybe just a smidge. Not that Avatar's grounded in any way, shape, or form, but like a little less grounded even than it currently is. Also, I felt like, so there, again, a compliment. Zuko was kind of unmistakably Zuko, and he felt like the Zuko that we ultimately kind of get. But it's one of those where it's like there's just something a little off, and I couldn't put my finger on it. It's like, whatever it is, I don't know if he's a little taller or just like more. I can't even put my finger. It's like whatever they changed and made Zuko, I'm glad. Because just watching this pilot, it's like something just a little, I don't know, he looks stumpier and like surlier even than TV shows Zuko turned out to be, and I can't put my finger on.
The thing is, I mean, technically Zuko's actually 5'4" in the show. Like they have
Snap.
they have their height somewhere, like in the Art of book. Yeah, he's only like 5'4". He'll probably grow no higher than like 5. I mean, what is he, 16-ish? So he'll have. I don't think I was 5'4".
I hit my growth spurt early, so I was, like I feel like I've been 5'9" since 8th grade or something. I hit my growth spurt early, and I was done.
You probably thought you were going to keep growing too for a while.
Yeah, because all my brothers are 6'2", so I really had high hopes.
Yeah,
pun intended. Shawn. Oh well.
High hopes. I knew I was going to max out where I'm at. My dad is pretty much my exact height, and my family on my mother's side, all this side. I only have like one tallish uncle who sits too.
I'll say somewhere around senior year of high school, practicing my post moves because like gonna grow into a center, and it never happened, to quote John Mulaney. But it didn't happen. But someday I'll cross my fingers. It could still happen. Lots of people grow at 31.
That's not accurate, but
other stark differences or things that you were watching that you're like, I'm glad that they polished a rough edge on this part or that person.
Voice acting for Aang is a lot better. Changing Kaya's name to Katara was Katara just seems more
waterbendery.
Yeah, I guess so.
I didn't know why.
That's why they mentioned that in their original drawings they were just gonna have Katara's hair loopies just kind of dangle, and then there, Bryan was saying, yeah, he lived over in Korea for like 4 months. South Korea, the good Korea. Although I feel like anytime, I don't know why this bugs me. Anytime someone says like, "Oh yeah, Korea," like they're always talking about South Korea unless they specifically say North Korea.
It's Korea, North Korea. I don't know if you've ever been
Yeah.
to Hutchinson, Kansas, but it's the same way. It's like you're talking about Hutchinson, or if they mean South Hutchinson, they're gonna specify. So it's like, I'm not going to South Hutchinson. That's a real thing that happens.
Um,
Also, just don't go to Hutchinson.
which I'm saying, random back thing to Batman to DC is is it Hutchinson or is it McPherson or are they both towns that that claim that they're Smallville?
Hutchinson is what I mentally associate with Smallville.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I was
I could be mistaken. I'm gonna say 20% sure
I was
Hutchison.
thinking about doing a video of like where the Smallville is in the Snyder universe in Kansas, because they're just like some little
It ain't even a
notes
town.
here.
It's like my family's barn.
No, it's pretty big. Like they have a Sears and an IHOP.
Oh yeah, well okay.
Yeah,
Um,
the Kents just live on their own farm within that. And so like I like Googled like Sears locations when Sears was around, and then also like the bank that took over the Kent farm. Their number starts with 785, which I found that to be cool.
it
Um,
should be 620. That's crap. They're so wrong.
I know,
It's
right? I would have thought it would have been 612,
what a load of
but
inaccurate horse crap.
and so like all right, well that puts them. Well, that was the bank, but granted, small banks tend to do around the area. And so I was like, all right, well, the Kents must live in 785 area code. So then I looked up where Sears are located at, and then looks like it could be probably, and also John DeKent talked about going to K State whenever he was showing them the key in Men of Steel, and so
And
like,
it's only
what's
you're talking about an hour and a half drive from like McPherson to K State, probably somewhere like it's very very geographically
yeah.
close.
What was this town?
I'm pretty sure it's Hutchison though.
There's a town by Manhattan, Riley,
Fort Riley.
Fort Riley.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think maybe Fort Riley is the small. Anyway, I probably won't do that
Really?
video because
Oh
I
no, I
kind of
don't. No, I actually think it was I'm fairly confident Hutch. Also, I don't think Fort Riley has like enough standalone. Like, I don't think you can go to Fort Riley and go to a Sears or anything like that.
I mean there's a Sears there. Whatever this place I looked up, they had a Sears. There's two
Oh,
places. Let's see.
Junction
You can't
City,
see me now, but that's
Salina,
okay. Junction City, Junction City.
Junction
That's
City.
it.
Okay, that there could be a Sears there. I would say that Superman. You know what, Superman? You can do better than Junction City,
He,
man. You can.
he seems more southern Kansas and northern Kansas. Just I mean, just Smallville, but within the Snyderverse is what I was getting, and not just
Specifically
Smallville.
this. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
specifically in the
Just
Snyderverse.
going literally with what you're presented canon right there in the
Yes.
Snyderverse. That's as good of an approach as any. No, I think when Smallville was on, we all thought Hutchison, or like even historically, Smallville being Hutchison.
Yeah. And I had a friend who's into comics also, and I think he was claiming that McPherson was Smallville, and how there's like this weird rivalry between Hutchison and McPherson.
They're both tremendously talented, like high school football towns. Maybe it's just like bleeds into the rivalry. Like
Ooh.
Superman is us.
Yeah.
Great football towns.
Um, but he was also watching a KU game, a KU football game. Maybe he's a K State fan, was watching a KU football game because he knew they sucked.
The K State part is I don't feel like I've ever heard that one debated at all. I feel like he's always kind of a K State guy through and through. KU really is just kind of northeast Kansas. Like any farther west you go, it kind of turns predominantly K State. But it's like
Okay.
I hate to make this parallel, but it's almost like the presidential election where the geographical area of the state is predominantly K State.
Oh, okay, I didn't
But
know
the
that.
person divide, the actual human head count, KU to K State is probably very even, but it's just the
Yeah.
corner of Kansas. I could be mistaken.
No, this probably seems fairly accurate. But anyway, back to Avatar. Sorry. Oh man.
Emerald City Comic Con. We're gonna hit that next year. It's gonna be great. That's Hutchison.
Oh God, yeah. I was like Emerald City.
I think it's Emerald City Comic Con. Hutchison got all these
There.
weird claims to fame.
Oh, Emerald City. There's an Emerald City Comic
Or is
Con
that
because I've
Wichita?
used it. Well, no, that I'm talking. That's in like Seattle or something like that.
What?
Because I've used a clip from Emerald City Comic Con where the back to Avatar, where the creator or Gene Yuen Lang, I'm sorry if I'm butchering his name, was talking about the comic books, and he was saying how Zuko and May broke up, and how a person wrote into him saying he broke up love, but then he was like, well, they get back together in 3 years.
I forgot about that. What is the one? Oh, okay, so I mean, you're totally right, and I believe you there. But there's a Comic Con in Wichita that I thought was like Wichita Hutchison that had like a Wizard of Oz theme name to it
Probably.
or something, and it was steampunky is what stood out to me.
Probably Yellow Brick Road Comic Con.
It's steampunky, but anyway, you're definitely right though. I do recall that. I believe you. I'm not doubting you.
See, it's all connected.
It's all
we that's why I purposely diverted into talking about where Smallville, Kansas is at in the Snyderverse.
Full circle.
But okay, the pilot, great pilot. What else was different? That was a change.
I think that the biggest things for me were just little things that like things feeling off, and like I can't necessarily put my finger on like one exact part of where it's like things are off, and I'm sitting there watching thinking, man, I'm really grateful that they refined that and redirected it the way that they did, like close but not quite right. Like you get a recipe and you forgot an ingredient or something.
I wonder where they're gonna do more animal killings. They should have killed the unagi and showed its head on the carton. That was messed up.
Just what everybody wants to see in a pilot.
Oh dang it! We didn't have the unagi.
We can fix that between. Okay. Hey, come back next week. We got something entertaining planned. We think we can fit that in, Chris.
Or the serpent. Only one serpent.
Number 16 is kind of lame in my opinion, anyway, because we never see the thing. So we can probably come off the list.
That's true.
Pilot. Final thoughts on the pilot.
I think it was a great pilot. I haven't watched it in like 5 years or so, but I thought it was really good, really good for a pilot.
I didn't put any ratings or anything because I don't know how you would rate a pilot. I did pick this screenshot on purpose because like that's some sick Avatar stuff.
Oh,
it's not the same, but it's
that's a difference. So I didn't notice this until I watched the pilot on the commentary. Aang is fighting Zuko. He purposely put himself in danger to trigger the Avatar state.
Yeah, he like pissed his own, like he flipped his own switch, sort of. He was aware.
Which at first when I watched, I just thought he could just control the Avatar state. But here he doesn't really control. I mean, he does control it, but it's not mastered. He purposely jumped off of a building. That way he would be in a life-endangering situation that would trigger the Avatar state.
I was trying to think of like a human equivalent because it's kind of it's insane, but it's kind of a baller move on Aang. So I was trying to think of like, when adrenaline kicks in, it'd be like doing something really stupid to get your adrenaline to kick in, just to be like, I can run faster now. Like if you threw yourself in front of a bus, just so you can see how fast you can run. That's what Aang did.
That would be an interesting superhero power. That would almost be like a My Hero Academia quirk. Like he could run and have super strength, but he must be in mortal danger.
Only in extremely specific circumstances that may or may not be scary.
His name is Adrenaline. I'm surprised it actually doesn't exist.
Adrenaline. So that's what I was watching. I was trying to think of the human equivalent of like if I had to get the max out of myself, I had to run my best 40 time. What would I do? Bus.
Speaking of My Hero, a new season starts up this weekend.
I've got several episodes. I haven't gone back and caught up on the dub, so I've actually got quite a ways to catch back up.
Oh, okay.
I'll get there.
What else was it? Oh, they were fighting on a statue they said in the commentary it was like an Avatar statue that the Fire Nation was repurposing to be for Ozai, and they did go back and kind of use this thing or this concept of fighting on it in the episode Return to Omashu when they're fighting on the Ozai statue.
You can tell me if my brain missed it because, again, to read it, I didn't watch with commentary, and so you can tell me if my brain like mistook it. It's like I knew that it was Fire Nation something. I didn't really pick up on the finite, like, hey, this was Avatar, and now it's been repurposed. To me, it was just big Fire Nation statue. It didn't necessarily feel like it specified that it was Ozai or anything like that. Maybe I just didn't.
It didn't.
But I was like, oh, big bad guy statue. I thought, again, I had a hard time like separating myself from what I know about Avatar now and not judging it against that. But when I try really hard to remove myself, and again, I looked at the art style. I know the animation's going to get shorted. That part I can wrap my mind around. But like the art style and the voices and the things like that were just sort of unmistakably Avatar, and you could have plugged a lot of those pieces into the main series, and like you could have found a place for it or made it fit or made it work. And that to me signals a good pilot. Like the pilot showed what this series would become. So I would say that's a good thing. That's my review. No number review, but if I had to say to watch it, I would just say go watch it because it's only 10 minutes long.
It's a good watch. Great watch.
Probably the first time I ever watched it through. I know we've talked about it a lot. I don't think I ever actually just sat down and dedicated watch it before, so I'm glad I did. That's all I got. Is entertaining bit of side Avatar stuff, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Chris, final thoughts on the pilot, or is it time to go record our next week episode? That's my segue. Listen to our episode next week because it is weird and different, and we hope that you will appreciate it because it's going to be March Madness time and Easter time. If you celebrate one or both of those things or whatever, do you celebrate March Madness? I don't know if that's a celebration thing. I kind of do. So come back next week. But in the meantime, thanks for hanging out with us this week for kind of an odd episode. My name's Shawn Shaler. That's Chris Ford, a.k.a. The Objective Geek. This is Avatar The Last Podcasters. You can find us at last_podcasters on Twitter and Instagram, but probably Twitter. And then facebook.com/Avatar The Last Podcasters. Thanks so much for listening into this. We hope you will join us again next week.